What's up and welcome back, Wargamers. This is Battleshock Wargaming Studio, and we're getting ready to do something that we ain't never done before because we're on Zoom. David, what's going on today?
Well, way back when we started this channel, we didn't want it to only be battle reports. We also wanted to have tactics talk and discussions about the ins and the outs of the game. So now that we have our bearings with creating content associated with battle reports, we want to start talking a little bit more about the things that happen that impact the games that we play every day.
That's right. And speaking of things that happen, something big happened today. David and I have been talking about it, and we were like, wait a minute, why don't we record this and actually discuss it with everybody else? So
Yeah,
what
because there's some huge things going on with Age of Sigmar.
Yeah. So let's jump right into it. A big old balance update hits the mortal realms as war comes to Galette. All right. So there's a
Yeah,
bunch of flavor text in here. We got some orcs. We got some trogs. Stormcast. That makes me nervous. Let's just jump right into it.
I love how you say it makes you nervous, like you haven't been just looking at this all day long,
It's
right?
still like it makes me nervous for what's to come. All right, so let's
Yeah.
get right into this. Uh Grand Order Alliance, David. It's nothing but bad news here. It's
Nothing but bad news. And we'll talk
it's
about some pluses a little bit later on, but
it's
let's just look at the guts of the battle scroll first. So, first thing that hit Stormcast Eternals, the Thunderbolt Volley command can only be used on a minimum strength unit.
yeah,
That's huge,
hit it.
right?
Just
I mean,
garbage.
so I love 15 Judicators. I used to love 6 Raptors until they were priority targets. And now I just don't love that holy command at all. It's like, throw it in the garbage.
Yeah. Yeah, it's number one. So what's the best holy command now? Unleash thy hatred
Unleash Thy Hatred is money.
or the
I
other
like
one,
the
the
one, I don't remember what it's called, but I like the one where you can run and charge with one unit. That's pretty good on a blob of dragons from time to time.
you're gonna
And
need it
then,
now.
yeah, and then Call for Aid, man.
Call
Call
for
for
it.
Aid is
Yeah,
fantastic.
call
Yeah.
for it still money.
I mean, that was always a minimum strength unit. And I can't tell you how many times just pulling an extra unit right out of you know where and putting it on the table is fantastic. So it's a terrible thing to happen to people that love to run Judicator and Raptor spam, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? We're gonna roll with the punches.
What surprises me is that they're like, you know what? They're once per battle too strong. But Daughters of Cain, feel free to do it every single
Every
turn.
hero phase. It's fine. It's fine. No
It's
problem. Yeah.
totally fine.
And that's okay. I guess Stormcast, they're more of a utility knife. They're more armored. They can teleport around the board, so they shouldn't be able to shoot or fight in the hero phase. Okay, whatever. It's fine. That's
Stormbreak
not the end
Guard.
of my world, right? We recently did a little recap of a couple tournaments that I went to, and I've been playing Mad Dragons. Michael's been playing Mad Dragons for months,
Yep.
right? So let's talk about the next Stormcast Eternal thing. Go
Yep.
ahead and read it, Michael.
Change the Draconian Onslaught ability to once per battle in your charge phase, you can say this unit will unleash the Draconic Onslaught. If you do, you can re-roll charge rolls for this unit this phase.
Yeah. Now, one little piece of vocabulary that's very important there. It says in the charge phase. So you don't have to do it at the beginning of the charge phase, right? So this is cool because if you have a lot of command points, you can be like, I'll re-roll this one with a command point because I want to hang on to that sweet once per battle ability. You know what I'm saying? So there's some utility there, but obviously the original rule was hero phase move and
Yeah.
then charge on a 2 up.
Yeah.
That was insanely good.
Yeah.
I've used that so many times, and it's fantastic. So that hurts, man. That changes the way that you play a dragon army exponentially.
But it hurts, and what doubly hurts is that's a major rule removal, and we've already paid a points increase because of that rule.
Yeah,
And now that points increase is still there, rule gone.
yeah. So that's a big one, right? And I think it's really going to force people to play the Stormcast Eternals army differently, which is absolutely fine.
Let's look at the cities of Sigmar, living cities, right? I've played
Yeah,
this a time or two. I've abused
this
this a
this
time or
is
two.
huge. I mean,
I'm
it was
fine.
very broken.
I'm fine with this.
Yeah.
I
So
this is clearly what it should have been to begin with.
yeah, yeah,
It never should have been what it was. And once people realized how broken it was, like it wasn't fun to play. I would never take this against someone that like on a casual day. But let's get it. Let's look at the rule. The old rule was that after you shot, you got to move, which means you could almost guarantee a charge with fulminators coming in from the
yes.
sidelines.
Well, right. So
Now,
for people that don't play Cities of Sigmar, you have to realize that they can bring Stormcast Eternals without suffering from ally points.
right.
They just have a different mechanic to where they can take Stormcast Eternals. So some of the best lists that you're seeing are Living Cities list with Fulminators and Dragons,
Yeah.
which was extremely strong, extremely good, and a lot of people just didn't have a defense against that.
No. Uh, Living Cities, I don't think it's the strongest city anymore.
I don't think so either. I think there's still some utility with some of the things that they have, but not being able to guarantee the charge, that changes things big time. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing more Phoenicium lists with Eternal Guard, stuff like that. But I think the 1,200 points of allied Stormcast Eternals in a Living City list is probably not going to be as predominant.
I'm excited for, and I want to play uh, Hello Heart and just jam in all of the good new endless spells. Just
Absolutely.
just
Absolutely.
200 points of endless spells will be so much fun. Like we'll play that game eventually.
Yeah, and that's what's fun, right? We've seen these lists dominating. When I was at the San Diego Open, Living City got second and third place.
Yeah.
All right. Uh, right after Seraphon, right? And we all know why Seraphon is amazing because it cuts your damage in half.
Yeah.
For a lot of armies, right? And that's what's coming up next on this list. So let's take a look at that one.
Yeah, you go ahead and read this one.
Yeah, Coalesce. So for those of you who don't know, Scaly Skin used to reduce the damage by 1 to a minimum of 1 for your entire army. That means that if you're playing ogres where everything's 2 damage, that just cuts all of their damage in half. Very, very strong. The other thing about Coalesce with monsters is they have extra wounds. They're just really good already. So it is silly. I mean, there's armies where you have to take heroes to reduce damage, like in your Night Haunt, Michael, right?
Yep.
The fact that this army can do that with their entire army just makes them ridiculously difficult to deal with. For instance, when I was at the San Diego Open, I played a guy who was Thunder Lizards, and I'm dragons. I have lances, and when I charge, I get extra damage. But against him, I didn't get any extra damage, so it was an uphill battle, you know.
So I think this change though still maintains the flavor, and it's still going to protect the things that they care about.
Right.
It's still going to protect their monsters and their Saurus Guard and all of that.
So what it doesn't protect is skinks and Slann. So that means skink priest, skink star priest, big blobs of skinks with poisoned weapons, doing lots of mortal wounds and stuff like that. It's not going to take you as long to chew through those big units so you can get to the chunkier stuff. The chunky stuff is still going to be tough to take down, right?
Right.
So I think it's a good balance. I'm glad they didn't take the whole thing away or rework the entire rule, because there's some diehard Seraphon fans, and it's rough when they take all your fun stuff away.
Yeah.
And you can ask me because I'm a Stormcast player. So just look at the first thing that we talked about, and you'll get it.
Really, the first 3 are all dings on Stormcast. I know that one says Cities of Sigmar, but that list is really a Stormcast list.
We've been talking about that forever. I was like, they got to change that coalition rule. Like the fact that you can bring 1,200 points in is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, just
Let's
silly.
look at the Grand Order of Chaos. Okay. You do
good stuff here.
You do Be'lakor, and I'll do Blade the Corn.
Okay, cool. So Be'lakor has a sweet little army that I can't beat in tournaments. It's called Legion of the First Prince.
I hear it's pretty good.
And it's pretty good. And the thing that makes Be'lakor so good is he can pass his damage away and then also benefit from a ward using a bodyguard rule. as long as he has any demon unit from the four flavors of demons within 9, not wholly within 9. So it makes him godly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say impossible to kill, but godly. And they took that rule away, which is, it's huge. It's like, whoa, like, but he still gets to add one to hit and wound rolls when he's got flavors of every demon around, which is great.
So they made him a little bit killier.
Yeah, Legion of the First Prince, they're just keep nerfing him. They'll just keep nerfing him until they're like, okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
Now, I want to make one note before we go over to Khorne. This will segue into Khorne.
We should probably talk about
Demon Prince. The Demon Prince of Khorne has the most busted command ability, right? It just halves run and charge rolls if you're within 18 inches of the model, which is this huge footprint. He's still alive and well, which is crazy. I can't believe they didn't change that. That makes more sense to me than changing Be'lakor.
Yeah, Be'lakor's not the abusive model.
Yeah, I just got used to ignoring Be'lakor for the whole game. Yeah. It's fine. He can stay alive. He's going to do his thing regardless. So the Demon Prince, though, I think that was a big miss on GW's part. They need to do something about that rule. And I guess we're going to have to wait till the Slaves of Darkness tome for that to happen.
Well, Be'lakor, I guess, can be a little bit weaker in a world where you're not going to have double shooting long strikes.
Right.
He can sit out of range and he's going to be fine now. Mm-hmm. Like he needed to be that strong because of double shooting long strikes. Without that, you could make him a little bit weaker.
Things are changing. So it's a good thing.
Slaanesh. We should probably talk about Slaanesh.
Yeah, we should. I mean, Slaanesh is in a tough place. They've got some great game mechanics. I love the depravity point mechanics. Kronspine Incarnate really helps. I mean, it helps every army, but so I mean, they're in a tough spot. Nobody's gonna lie. Any Hedonites a Slaanesh player knows. Seeing that Sigvald's coming down, that's fantastic. He's a great model, very hard to kill, good damage potential, good deep strike and charge potential, which is fantastic. Blissbarb Archers coming down is big because their shooting isn't fantastic, but if you can take them in mass and overwhelm people with splash damage, chip damage, then you're in good shape. Twin Souls and Painbringers are going to be fantastic, fighting in 2 ranks, less points. I think they're going to turn into a melee monster, but they're still going to struggle against heavy magic and heavy shoot armies.
Yeah. They're still pretty paper thin.
Yeah. Beautiful army. Lots of fun to play against and to play with. I still think they need a new tome, but at least they're playable now, right? Yeah. And I think there's some good stuff that's going to come out of that points reduction. And also keep in mind that they can be pretty good with casting at times with a couple of their units. And there's some fantastic things happening with endless spells, which is a whole nother conversation. But not a bad change for them. I feel like they forgot to drop the points in the pitched battles. They did that last season. So they were like, ah, crap. And then they put it on here.
Yeah, that was the thing for me. It was like, why are these points here? And who missed that?
I don't know. It's the only one. They're just like, oops. So yeah, that's that. Why don't you talk about Blades of Khorne? This one I'm pretty stoked about.
This one I'm stoked about for multiple reasons. I'm not even the Khorne player. You are.
Yeah.
But blood for the blood god, man. This is great. So it used to be that when you spent your blood tithe points, you'd lose anything extra.
Insane. It's like, okay.
And it should have never been that way. Now
it's just hard. This is the thing that makes that amazing, right?
If you summon a unit in this manner, the blood type points are not reset to 0. Like you still have blood type points.
Yeah, and the other thing about that is there's also a table of abilities for blood type points. And they're pretty damn good, right? Yeah. There's some good ones. You can auto unbind a spell.
Mm-hmm.
You can fight in the hero phase. You can charge in the hero phase.
I think
there's a lot of fun little shenanigans that are in there. But because of the way that the summoning mechanic and the blood tithe points mechanic has been for so long, you see those points underused for abilities because people are like, I got to get more models on the board, because a lot of the time when you're getting blood tithe points, it's because you're losing all of your paper thin t-shirt save models, your blood letters, your marauder, or not marauders, the blood reavers,
Yep.
blood warriors, all that stuff. So that's big. That means that in the hero phase, you can use blood type points for an ability, and then later on at the end of the movement phase, you also can summon. So it just doubles the utility.
Yeah.
Also,
That's what I'm really excited about.
right. And also the spell ignore. You ignore a spell on a 6. And if you roll, if you ignore the spell, you get an extra blood type point, right? So that's from the old White Dwarf update. So that means that there's more blood type points to go around. There's more shenanigans you can do, and it makes them a little bit techier and a little bit fightier, which is where they need to be. They need to be much more fightier. If they're fighting for the blood god, they need to wreck things, right?
Yeah.
Like bloodthirsters should not hit on 4s. Bloodthirsters should hit on 2s, and until they're tiered, right? Like that massive axe should be like death if it touches you. It shouldn't be like, oh, he had 5 attacks and he missed with 4 of them.
Bloodletters should be like death.
Bloodletters should have 2 attacks each, 2-inch range, and they should get an extra attack when they charge. Then the mortal wound output with the decapitating blow could be bomb, right? Because when they get charged, they never survive to fight, and then they fight in 1 rank. So 2 ranks is great. You got your blood secretor. You can get 2 attacks each on them. Whoopity doo. It's better, but it's not fantastic. I still think that Blades of Corn, you have to play the monsters. You have to hit super hard on a double turn, round 2, round 3, cut the army down, summon, just box people out, steal objectives. If you haven't achieved that goal in the first 3 battle rounds, then you might as well just pack it in. I mean, things start to fall apart at that point.
All right.
So that's great.
So we're both death players. We got Flesh Eater Quartz.
Love the death, baby.
Flesh Eater Quartz. They friendly changed Deathless Quarters battle trait to all Flesh Eater Quartz units have a ward of 6+.
Yeah, so we're seeing this happen, right? Night Haunt, whole army just has a ward. Yep. Legion of the First Prince, whole army just has a ward. That makes sense, right? Things like Stormcast Eternals, it's like I have a ward if I'm under this holy aura, or if I'm on an objective, so I'm fighting extra hard. That makes sense thematically. Flesh Eater Quartz, unkillable zombie / vampire shredding machines, right?
Yeah.
The ward makes sense.
Now, I'm sure you're excited about this one.
Oh, yeah.
Add the following notes to the section: Necropolis Stalkers and Immortus Guard pitch battle profiles. Battle line if general is Mortesian.
Sure. So let's talk about the Mortesians. The Mortesians are the Soul Mason, the Soul Render, something like that. The one with the scythe that nobody uses because he sucks. And then the Bone Shaper. So these are just tiny little heroes, but this is complementary to the points drops in the General's Handbook because they're all 115 points now. So, Michael, you played against the Soul Mason. He's amazing at 115 points. He's a 2 caster. And then on a 2-up, he can cast his special spell up to D3 times if he rolls well enough. So he's a 2 caster, but he actually is a 3 caster and sometimes a 4 or a 5 caster. Because his spell is fantastic. Reroll 1s, Soul Guide, which is great. So if you take him with Catacross, your whole army's +1 to hit, and then you're making units reroll 1s. So it's 2s rerolling 1s with explosions. And I mean, they're a super fun thematic army. I love that they're pointing them down. I love that we're going toward battle line. Mortet Guard are going to be so dope now with Harvesters. I mean, I'm super excited.
So I know what Necropolis Stalkers are. Those are the multi-face guys. They each have 4 swords.
Yeah, really 4 arms, 4 fighting aspects. The best one that they have is precision aspect. So after they charge at the beginning of the combat phase, they can add 1 to the rend and the damage of their weapons, which it makes them -2 rend and 2 damage versus -1/1. They have 5 attacks each. So if they're fully juiced, you're like on 2s, rerolling 1s and 3s, -2 rend and 2 damage, which is phenomenal. Yeah. And then the other thing is if you take them in Petrifex Elite, you can use the bludgeon ability along with that, and you can make those attacks -3 rend and 2 damage, which is super, super juicy. It always has been.
Make them bounty hunters and make them 3 damage.
Make them bounty hunters, make them 3 damage, and now their battle line, you can reinforce them and you can fight in 2 ranks. So instead of 15 attacks, 30 attacks. twos, re-rolling ones, threes, neg 3/3.
Money.
I mean, it's crazy. There's some craziness that you can do there. So that's huge. Mortek Guard are going to be fantastic. OCR Bone Reapers totally win today. I mean, that's a big win for them.
What are
Top
the
tier,
Immortus Guard?
The Immortus Guard are the alternate build for Necropolis Stalkers. They have giant shields and halberds. The shields are so-so. The halberds are -2/2.
Okay,
A couple
yeah.
attacks each. They've got a 3-up save instead of a 4-up save, and they also can bodyguard for your heroes. So this is cool because you can make a Bone Shaper that's like 6 wounded with a 5-up save, your general, and then you can put a unit of Immortus Guard with him, which are pretty swingy, so nobody really wants to go into them unless they're going to really dedicate themselves to that. And then on top of that, you can take Necropolis Stalkers, and I think it'd be fun to run a list with just like 21 of them. I mean, they're super cool. It's not going to be good against a lot of stuff, but it's going to be really good against Khorne, lots of Nurgle, stuff like that. So yeah, big win for the Bone Reapers. I'm super stoked about that.
All right, let's move on down the line. Destruction. Okay, so for the orcs, they can now take Hobgrot Slittas as battle line.
Yep, for every Gut Rippa, you can take a Hobgrot Slitta. This is much like Lumineth Realm Lords. For every unit of Wardens they can either take a unit of Sentinels or Dawn Riders for battle line. So that's huge. I mean, because they're chaff and they're cheap. And I just played a guy at the San Diego Open. He had to take a bunch of Gut Rippas to screen, and that is a pretty heavy points investment for what they do. I mean, they hit pretty hard. They've got 2 wounds apiece. They're just okay. But just being able to take like 60 Hobgrots and just plug up the board, maybe make them maybe make them the Galatian veterans, so they're 3 on objectives. So you're just basically forcing people to put all of their time and effort into killing this 60 wounds just so they can start holding objectives. Meanwhile, they're just getting shot to death by the Cruel Boy, the Bolt guys, Bolt boys. Yeah, so that's a good change. Right underneath that is the Grin and Blades. So out of the mists, somebody in the comments, if I'm wrong, you can go ahead and comment and let me know. But from what I understand, that Grin and Blades out of the mist ability used to just be for the first battle round.
Yeah, that's correct.
You couldn't see enemy models and if they're more than 12, so you can't shoot them,
which is not good.
That is pretty amazing for the entire game.
Yeah,
it's just active for the whole game now, so they're like little Idenith Deepkin now. You just can't shoot them, and if you can, it's the unit that's right in your face. So that's fantastic.
I still don't think it beats out Big Yellas.
Yeah, I mean,
because with the ability to cover in mud for their sneaky tricks where they pick some units and they cover in mud and they're now invisible.
Right. But
it's going to get played. It's going to get played.
You don't need a +3 to your shooting with Big Yellas if the whole enemy army can't see you unless they're within 12. If they're within 12, then you're within range to shoot them to death.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a cool change.
I like it.
I think that Cruel Boys are low-key good. I mean, I almost got clapped with my all-dragon list against a Cruel Boys player just because of the mortal wound output was just absolutely insane.
Yeah.
So that's a good change. That's a win for the Cruel Boys for sure.
Bone Splittas. Change the Spirit Agorka Morka battle trait to if the unmodified hit roll for an attack is made with a melee weapon, friendly Bone Splittas unit within 6 scores 2 hits on the target instead of 1.
Yeah, I'm assuming they changed a mortal wound mechanic to a extra hits mechanic. All right, everybody. So we were just taking a quick look at the Bone Splitters change. We went to Wahapedia to see what the old rule was, and it looks like it's already been updated. So somebody hit the comments down below. I know there's some Bone Splitters players out there. Tell us what that Spirit of Gorka Morka used to do. I'm assuming it's mortal wounds because I remember mortal wounds with them at some point. So yeah, we'll put a pin in that and let's move on to Gloomspite Gifts.
Let me get the book. So Gits need love,
They need all the love they can get.
and I don't think this is enough.
I want them to be ridiculous. I want them to just crush everybody so they can all laugh and have fun.
So what I've been saying for a long time is kind of destruction armies are noted by just their sheer damage output.
Yeah.
Gits are noted by just being weird.
Yeah, they're an interesting army. So
I think they should be the magic damage output, but that's neither here nor there.
yeah. So this ability where they can rally on a 4-up, that's great. I think every army should be able to do that with one unit.
And what somewhere. That used to be was add 1 to hit rolls.
Okay, that's so way different and much better.
Way different and much better because you're talking.
You can add 1 to hit rolls in 1,000 different ways.
Right. So much better.
Hell yeah, frothing zealots for the win.
So let's look at the Trogeth Renewal. Trogeth Renewal, all this allowed you to do, remember, like Trogeths can regenerate on a 4-up for D3 wounds.
Yeah.
It allowed you to re-roll the D3.
Yeah.
That's all it was. And only in certain times when you're affected by the moon. Now it adds 1 to your save rolls, which is...
That's huge.
It's good. They're only a 5-up save, though.
Yeah. So, I mean, putting them on a 4, stacking it with all that defense, but you're never going to get better than a 4 with them. It's good for a few reasons, though. If you look down below at Bad Moon Loon Shrine, we've got an effigy of the Bad Moon.
Right.
And Gloomspite Gits are affected by the Bad Moon if they're wholly within 12 of the terrain feature. So that means that even if they're not in the part of the board where the moon is active, they still get the benefit. So this means that you could put a bunch of Trogs around the Bad Moon.
Yep. Wait
for the Bad Moon to move into the center of the battlefield. And then, great. They're +1 to save all the time.
Yeah. You'd put them on the edge of your bubble. You would do your reinforced squad because now they're battle line because, of course, your Trogeth boss is your Dayhole Trogeth is your job. Yep. They're battle line, so they're fighting in 2 ranks, which fixes a problem for them. They're +1 save. And then when the moon moves, you run and try to have your best day ever before you all die.
And they regenerate. So cool.
It's cool.
I mean, yeah, it's great. And they hit really hard.
They're easily the best thing in the army.
-2 rand and 3 damage is no freaking joke, especially when you watch them come back after you kill them. It's like, shucks. And then you just get hit to death by them.
I would love to see them have a 4-up rally.
Yeah. Well, can't you do that with frothing zealots? I think so.
No, because they won't be Moon Clan.
Oh, well, I already bought 37 Trogs. Just kidding.
Yeah, Moon Clan will only be the little tiny grots.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a Gloomspite Gets army, right? So we'll put it on the channel with its new sweet new rules.
We're gonna put it on. We're gonna put it on the channel and like take on something real stupid.
Yeah, we'll see how good it does.
We'll see. We'll put it against the dragons and see how bad the new dragons are.
Oh yeah, the new dragons are terrible now. Just because they can't hero phase move, they're garbage. Let's just throw them away. All right, so is that the end of the battle scroll?
That's it. That's everything.
All right, so let's do some hot takes.
Okay.
There's a huge elephant in the room that we haven't talked about yet, and that is the hunt is dead.
That is true.
There is no more hunt.
Yep.
You will no longer get 8 extra priority and target and monster points when you fight against a dragon player. Yeah. So how do you think the current crush meta for Stormcast Eternals is going to do against the new rules?
I think it's too early to tell.
Yeah.
I am really nervous. They removed a lot of their clearly strong things. I'm really happy with the Living Cities change, but even though I've been playing the Dragons list, I don't think the Dragons list is the most oppressive list out there.
It's not.
It's never been S tier. It's always been A tier.
I
and
mean,
it's
I can't
still
even beat Legion of the First Prince with 11 dragons.
yeah.
Now, mistakes were made. And there is a video that's going to be coming out or is already out, depending on when you're watching this, where you can listen to me talk and try really hard not to get mad about my my previous experience with Legion of the First Prince. So yeah, they've just been getting picked at and picked at and picked at. And Legion of the First Prince has two. Uh, Living Cities, the reason they were winning tournaments is that exact rule that just got like destroyed. So I think Living Cities players, like if that's what they love and that's their favorite thing, that's like the end times for them, right? Like the other armies are like, well, you nerfed us, it's fine. I'll just figure out a different way to play, you know?
I don't
Uh,
think anyone played Living Cities until that happened. I mean,
sure.
there's definitely some guys who like painted their armies green and like have these beautiful Living Cities armies. I've seen them, but most people were like me, and I have a different city that just happens to be Living Cities now.
Right.
You know?
You're like, oh, look, I have these Stormcast models and I've got these other models. I'm just going to put them into an army
Yeah,
and just go stomp people into the ground. Yeah.
yeah.
So that's rough for those people. Seraphon, good change. Is it going to bring them down from being top tier? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think that I think that people are just going to craft their lists a little bit differently without skinks. Here's what I would do if I was a Seraphon player. All right, don't take any advice from me about playing Seraphon, but I played against the Knights, right? The little 2 wound dinosaurs,
Yep.
lizards riding dinosaurs. They're cavalry, right?
Right.
So a unit of 5 of those gets 35 attacks, and because they get the extra jaw attacks. The rider has jaws, the mount has jaws. Then you got attacks from the mount and the rider, so it's 7 attacks each. It's a lot. So it's 115 points for 5 of those, which is extremely undercosted, right? So you're looking at about 23 points a model to run cavalry, which are greatest screens. They're reducing your damage because they are Saurus, not skinks. And now you can make them bounty hunters. So now you've got 35 attacks coming out of a 115 point unit that are 2 damage apiece, which is insane. Now, if the Knights charge, they also get a damage bonus, so to their lances or something like that. So potentially 3 damage attacks. I mean, they're going to be overwhelmingly good in
Yeah.
just little units of 5. They can just go around and live their best life. And if you kill them, nobody really cares because they're 115 points. So I'm going to call it right now. I want to see a major GT1 with just a bunch of Knight spam. I think it's going to be good.
Sounds good. Yeah, I would play that list.
Yeah,
Let's go
I would play
buy
that list too,
let's
and
go buy
just be
five
really
hundred
nice
dollars
to
of
the
it.
person I was playing with the whole time. Like, you're doing great. I hope you're having fun. Can I buy you a drink? You want to grab a TO? Do you want to check how I'm measuring? Like, whatever you want to do, man. It's fine. I've got 90 nights. It's fine. Yeah. Yeah,
Now,
they're fine. They're gonna
get
continue to dominate. So
gets. Do you think gets are A tier now?
gets are maybe D tier now.
See, I think there's D tier, and then there's still gets.
But there's also, lists with 180 grots that are 3 on objectives, and that could be something.
But
I
that's
mean,
there's pick any other faction, they can do the same. Like you
yeah,
can still do it. You can do it with Soul Blight.
yeah,
You can do it with Night Haunt, and they're going to
that's
do
true.
better.
You can really do it with Soul Blight.
Yeah.
So let's move down. Let's move down to death. Let's do a quick wrap up and hot take about death. So Bone Reapers continue to win, but still lose in their own, special ways, right?
Yeah, they're going to continue to be somewhere in C tier. They're going to be hardy, but I
Yeah,
still don't think you're going to see
you're
that on
gonna
a top
keep seeing
table.
them on our channel because I've got 12,000 points of them painted. They're beautiful. They're fun to play. I love them. Are they gonna take the tournament scene by storm? No,
Nope. And
but they're great.
every
They're
time we
great.
play them, it's going to be a 2-hour battle report because nothing will die.
Nothing dies. That's
Nothing
right.
dies.
We played against Slaves of Darkness, and that was like a 3-hour battle report. It was
We
insane.
both still had full strength armies.
Yeah, Flesh Eater courts, fantastic. Give them love. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They're choppy, they're killy, they're thematic, they're fun. They, people who know how to play them well seem to do really well at tournaments. They're great. Yeah.
Excited about the corn change. I still don't think it's enough for them. I think
No.
I still think they need fundamental changes to that army. But it's that with their white dwarf. They're definitely going the right way.
It makes them 25% better. And remember, just throw a Demon Prince of Corn in there, and nobody can ever charge you until you say it's time. And then you'll win against 60% of your opponents that don't have shooting and magic and better melee attacks than you somehow, even though you're fighting for the Blood God. But whatever. That's once again, that's a whole nother conversation we could have. I try not to be salty about Corn because I love to play them, but I mean, I'm just lying in wait. Legion of the First Prince, I think, is just going to keep doing what it's doing, except for people are going to maybe be forced to use the Dark Master ability a little bit faster.
Oh, yeah, you're going to want to use that turn one.
Turn one he's not your general anyway. He sucks at casting spells, and if he dies, it doesn't really win you the game, especially if you can't get to all the other big monstery units that sit there and summon plague bearers. So you start playing against an army that has 115 wounds, and then by the end of the game, it's up to 200 wounds.
Stormcast. What do you think is going to be the list for Stormcast? Without having played any of the new General's Handbook, David's predictions for the next 6 months.
Well, if they would have killed the Demon Prince of Corn rule, then I think that the Paladin list, Paladin heavy, Unleash Thy Hatred, reinforced Retributors, double Grand Hammers,
sure,
coming 7 inches away. That seems amazing and good. But then you run into something where you can't charge from 7 inches away, and then you're boned, right? I mean, the fact that you already have to make a 7-inch rerollable charge, that's tough. I think Stormkeep in accordance with Bounty Hunters would be cool. So if you take Stormkeep and Bounty Hunters, it means you count as 3 on objectives with Redeemers, and they also hit Galatian veteran units for extra damage. So that could be kind of fun, right? I'm thinking Liberator spam and MSU units.
So my understanding of the Galatian veterans, and again, we don't have the book, right? It's just my understanding from like leaks and different content creators is that if you are battle line, you are a Galatian veteran.
Correct.
So now there wouldn't be any benefit to putting yourself as a Stormkeep as battle line.
Here's why. To count as 3 on objectives, you have to be in a battalion that allows you to do that. And the only people that are eligible to be in that battalion are Galatian veterans. So
I haven't seen
just because you're a Galatian veteran does not mean you count as 3.
Okay.
You have to be in the battalion. And you can only take 1 of those battalions, just like Hunters of the Heartland in the previous General's Handbook. That means you can have up to 3 units in that battalion that count as 3 on objectives. So think 3 units of 10 Vindictors or 2 units of 15 Vindictors.
Okay.
Right? Now, if you take Stormkeep, then you don't need to take that battalion. You just already do that because you already have that rule, right? So then you can make them bounty hunters. Or if you want to make yourself a single drop and just overload the board with Stormkeep models, then you're already counting as 3. So that gives you a jump. But the problem is you have less models than a lot of armies. So a zombie army versus a liberator army is going to win.
Okay. Well, glad you cleared that up for me.
Yeah, quite honestly, though, I don't know what good Stormcast is anymore. I think that when we go to Boise Cup, I want to take the 2x4 dragons, make them bounty hunters, and then run Stormkeep still. So the 2 units of Vindictors that I have are just the same as everybody else, 3 on objectives. So Just do lots of damage.
What
Hopefully hold the objectives.
what I
See
like
how it
about
goes.
that is nobody else's bounty hunters hurt you.
What's that?
Their bounty hunters don't really bother you. You just okay, that's fine. I still have 8 dragons.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, I don't get the extra damage. Whatever. Like
Yeah.
I'm already doing a bunch of damage, so that's fine, right? So I could take a 3-drop list with the dragons, and it could be pretty bomb. And nobody wants to give you the first turn anyway. But without the hero phase move, that's changed as well. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see.
All right. Well, David, this has been a lot of fun. It's been
Yeah,
super cool hanging out and going over the new rules and then just chit chatting. I hope everyone watching has as much fun uh, seeing what we think, and comment down below and tell us how wrong we are, or tell us how right we are, or tell us what you're excited for. Tell us what you think is coming. We love engaging with you guys in the comments.
yeah, absolutely. Thanks for tuning in. A lot of good stuff on the way. We'll see you guys again soon in another video.